China held its biggest military parade ever today, with Chinese President Xi joined by leaders at odds with the U.S. They included Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer is reporting from Beijing.
This was China's largest military parade yet. Some of the PLA's most advanced weapons were on display, including hypersonic missiles, underwater drones, and the world's most powerful laser. But just as significant for Xi Jinping, all the leaders who came to watch with him, from Russia, North Korea, Iran, and nearly 24 mostly authoritarian countries. Kim Jong-un grabbing the spotlight from the moment he arrived by armored train with his daughter. Vladimir Putin here for the past several days having high-level meetings to ease his political isolation. And all of it turning heads in Washington. President Trump posting to Truth Social as the parade got underway, saying, quote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Security for this event was intense today, with roads and schools closed around the city. The displays of weapons and leaders designed to send a message to the world about patriotism and power here, and that China's clout is growing. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
Breaking news just into us. I want to show you a destroyed streetcar in Lisbon, Portugal. The crash leaving at least 15 people dead. Just horrific. Nearly 20 other people have been hurt. You know these streetcars? They're like super popular with tourists. You can see one man at one point trying to get out from a broken window. Others rushing out the door. I want to show you a live look at the scene right now. Here's some of the images of the aftermath, too. This is live 10 o'clock at night in Lisbon. You see they are trying to dismantle, get a handle on some of the wreckage here. We're learning that the car may have derailed, seemingly speeding down one of those steep hills in the city and slamming out of control into a building. And then look at some of the chaos after. The cable car just totally destroyed. A huge emergency response to pull people from the wreckage. Local officials now calling for 3 days of mourning, and they're launching an investigation. But right now, we don't know what caused the crash officially or if any Americans were on board. I want to get right to Keir Simmons. Keir, bring us up to speed on what else we're learning tonight.
Yeah, Hallie, we're monitoring this because it is developing, it is horrifying, it is terrifying. What we're seeing are those images that you have shown the viewers with this mangled wreckage. What we're hearing is that the suspicion is that the metal cable underneath the car, that something went wrong with that. You can imagine what you've got there, and it's very famous, it's world famous. This tram was first used in the 19th century there in Lisbon, and what appears to have happened is these cars, they kind of move on each other's weight. It's a very steep hill, and as one comes down the hill, the other goes up. Now, of course, the issue is if something happens with that cable, then there is no control over the cars. And these images with dust everywhere appear to show, and witnesses are saying that one of these cars slammed into a wall. It is mangled, 15 dead, 18 wounded, according to officials in Portugal. A tragedy in a place that is visited by millions of tourists and vacationers around the world every year.
And Keir, you point out world famous, some of these cable cars are. What is the deal with safety inspections there? How are they regulated? Do we know anything more about that, with accountability sure to be a central question?
Yeah, it really will be, won't it? And the boss of the company that runs the cable system, these cable car system, is saying that they will investigate. Listen, it's just happened hours ago, Hallie, so understandably it's too early to come to any kinds of conclusions, but it will be very worrying for Portugal. This was 6 p.m. in the evening. People will have been heading out for the evening on a late summer's day, and holidaymakers, vacationers are crucial to that country, so they will want to get to the bottom of exactly what happened. According to witnesses, and it's just chilling, these cable cars were packed with people, and that also people on the street itself may have been victims too.
Keir Simmons, thank you for staying on top of that developing news for us from overseas.
An 11-year-old is dead and a man is facing murder charges after a childhood game turned deadly. Julian Guzman was playing Ding Dong Ditch with a group of friends in a Houston neighborhood Saturday night. When they rang one man's doorbell, witnesses told police that Gonzalo Leon Jr. came outside and fired a gun at the children as they ran away. Guzman was shot in the back. Lane Cannon spoke with their district attorney about this case.
In our day, when I was growing up, you didn't get murdered for playing Ding Dong Ditch.
Harris County District Attorney Sean Tier talking about the shooting that took the life of 11-year-old Julian Guzman. He says investigators put together pieces of evidence to make an arrest, in part based on an eyewitness, Julian's cousin, who was knocking on doors with him that night.
As it sits right now, he hasn't identified this defendant in anything other than types of clothing that he was wearing and where he came out of the backyard.
The suspect, Gonzalo Leon, was questioned the night of the shooting, but so far, he's not talking.
So that night he was questioned, didn't say what happened, how it happened, if he did anything.
Correct.
He's admitted to nothing.
Correct.
Tier says another crucial piece of evidence is Julian's cell phone. Investigators say he was recording when he knocked on the suspect's door and ran. Police say you can hear shots fired on the phone and, sadly, Julian gasping for air after he was hit.
There is no way that that little boy was posing a threat to the defendant or anyone in his house, and he was running away, and he was on a public street. This is not a manslaughter. This isn't a stand your ground.
It's murder.
This is a murder.
The child's family has set up a GoFundMe. You see it on your screen. If you would like to.
Acá en the process.
What process? What do you
Visa U.
Visa U? Is it pending?
Raquel says soon after, she handed the agents a G-28 form that her attorney gave her to notify any officers that the couple had representation in an active process they were going through.
Cuando le sacamos el papel, ellos lo agarraron.
Raquel says she's been left in a state of constant fear since this interaction. She says when agents took the form, she assured them again that she was going through a process with a lawyer. She says agents told her that didn't matter. Raquel says she and her husband were then put in handcuffs and taken from the scene in an unmarked vehicle. She says this video was recorded by a family member in that moment. It shows unmarked vehicles leaving that street.
El que nos subió a su carro decía Federal.
Raquel says most of the agents did not have visible identification and that only one of the SUVs, the one they were placed in, was identified as a federal vehicle. Once they arrived at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement office in Chantilly, Raquel says an agent told her she had an order of deportation, claims that she denied. Her lawyer tells News 4 Raquel has never had an order of deportation in her file.
My client had been in removal proceedings before, and we had an asylum case pending for her for years. And last year, she was permitted, and the government agreed, to dismiss her court case wanting to remove her.
Toro says the couple is not only going through a U visa process, but also has an asylum process pending. Raquel was released from Chantilly hours after her detention with an ankle monitor and a court date for late September. Her husband remains in ICE custody. Toro says neither of them has a criminal record.
This couple, neither of them have any criminal arrests, they have no convictions, and they have no prior orders of deportation.
While Toro said she would try to submit a request for a bond hearing for Jesus today, Raquel's only hope is that her family's life can soon go back to normal.
Me duele el alma no poder hacer nada.
She says it hurts her soul to feel unable to do anything about her husband's detention.
City leaders and residents pushing back tonight against the Trump administration's reported plans to deploy additional ICE agents and federal troops to Chicago.
Operations could begin this week. WGN's Emmy Victor joins us live at Great Lakes Naval Station with the latest. Emmy.
Mike and Dana, the possible arrival of federal forces in the Chicago area has gone from weeks to days, and now it could potentially even be hours. Two sources confirmed to the Chicago Sun-Times that an immigration operation will be starting up at the base behind me tomorrow.
No troops in Chicago! No troops in Chicago! Invest in Chicago! Invest in Chicago!
As the potential arrival of federal forces puts Chicago in the national spotlight.
Our city is a welcoming city for all people, regardless of immigration status, regardless of the color of your skin.
Thousands of people protested the Trump administration's policies at a Labor Day rally in the Loop.
Union rights matter, immigrants matter, and we won't have this. We won't have Trump coming in and taking away our civil liberties.
During an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said ICE plans to expand their operations in the Windy City. While the agency didn't provide further details about the planned surge, reports indicate additional ICE agents could be arriving to the Chicago suburbs as early as tomorrow. Two sources familiar with base operations told the Chicago Sun-Times that the Department of Defense has secured the Naval Station Great Lakes in North Chicago for an operation from September 2nd to September 30th. Noem said President Donald Trump will decide whether he wants to deploy the National Guard to Chicago, which would be focused on fighting crime.
I know members of the National Guard. They don't want to do law enforcement on the streets. This is not the job they signed up for when they went into the National Guard.
On Saturday, Mayor Johnson signed an executive order expressing his desire for the Trump administration to stand down on its plans. He also said that Chicago police will not collaborate with the National Guard or ICE.
We will not have our police officers, who are working hard every single day to drive down crime, deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president.
Naval base officials also haven't commented on how they may be involved with this potential operation. Meanwhile, all things have looked pretty quiet here at the base as the holiday weekend wraps up. Reporting live in North Chicago.
For this story, we travel from Mexico City to the state of Michoacan. There's a war playing out between Mexican drug cartels, and they just upgraded their arsenal. Some of the weapons can be traced back and originated in the United States. Cartels are increasingly using commercial drones that they can buy up online. They adapt them to carry bomb attacks. For many years, this particular region has been really disputed among criminal groups since it's a strategic corridor for drug routes and cultivation. We visited two small towns. These are very, very small villages. We found what basically resembled a war zone. In the past 2 years, according to analysts and local security officials, Michoacan has become the epicenter of the use of IEDs, drones, and landmines. They are using more sophisticated weapons, rocket-propelled grenades, mortars built with gas tanks, and heavily armored vehicles. Most of the residents have fled their homes in terror. This is one of the many empty houses that we saw in El Guayabo that bore the scars of the battle. Some of the weapons that these groups were using at the moment were semi-automatic rifles, very commonly used in war zones across the world. The use of IEDs and landmines has caused the deaths of at least 10 civilians in the past year, including one 14-year-old boy who was walking to school and accidentally stepped on a landmine. The Mexican government has launched a very aggressive crackdown on drug cartels, partially under a lot of pressure from the Trump administration. President Trump has increased his threats to launch a military intervention in Mexico to go after cartels and cartel leaders. The Mexican government, in response, has kind of blamed the United States. They say as much as 70% of the weapons that are seized here in Mexico originated in the United States. What we're seeing across Mexico and in places like Michoacan is effectively the militarization of these drug cartels, turning them into effectively paramilitary-grade forces.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago. And our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing. And you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Tuberville talked about the cost savings associated with this announcement. Can you talk about the strategic benefits by having Space Force Command headquartered in Huntsville?
Well, it just works because we have so much else there. And having a central, you could call it a central command, but it really is a command station. Also, even locationally, where it is, and when you think about flying distances, if you can save a half an hour as fast as some of these planes go and things go, and even the rockets go, if you can save by having the best location. So we went out, as you know, to experts, and we had 4 different groups of experts. They all said this was the best location.